Hello everyone. Today we will do a very beautiful as well as a meaningful poem by James Kirkup, that is No Men Are Born, from our book Beehive. The poem deals with the theme that the oneness of mankind underneath the superficial differences of color, race, nationality and faith. It tells that all human beings are brothers and sisters. Those who spread hatred and wage wars are criminals and deserve to be condemned. The poem also deals with the supremacy of love, accord, friendship, and amity among all the people in the world. Human beings all over the world have identical behavior, and the differences based on the man-made concepts of caste, creed, barriers, etc. are rarely very unnatural. Even human being responds positively to love. Hence no human being is a foreigner or an outsider. Now let's know something about James Kirkup. James Kirkup was born on 1923. He won the Atlantic Award for Literature in 1950. He wrote some plays too. He worked as professor of English at Stockholm and at Tohoku University, Sendai, Japan. He was a versatile writer. Before beginning with the explanation of the poem, I want to tell you that the entire poem is written in free verse, so there is no rhyme scheme in the poem. And one more thing, that we will discuss all the poetic devices or literary devices after finishing up with the explanation of the poem. So, the explanation of the poem is Stanza 1. Remember, no men are strange, no country is foreign. Beneath all uniforms, a single body breathes. Like us, the land our brothers walk upon is earth like this, in which we all shall lie. So, the poet is telling us that in the first line, the poet says that no men are strange and no country is foreign. So, he is attempting to remove the borders from the earth, which have been erected to separate different countries. Then only no country will be foreign. We will feel every country as our own land when there will be no borders. Everyone will be free to move around. The poet wants to say that the entire earth is one, and all the people who live on this earth belong to one human race. Then he says that inside the uniforms worn by soldiers of different countries, the human being is the same. God has made all of us in a similar way. We all have been made in a similar way. All breathe in the same way. Then he says that all the soldiers are our brothers, and we all walk upon the same mother earth, and upon our death shall lie in the grave in the same earth. Next stanza is, they too, aware of sun and air and water, are fed by peaceful harvest, by war's long winter starved. Their hands are ours, and in their lines we read, a labor not different from our own. They refers to those people who belong to other countries. We call them foreigners and discriminate them and fight with them also. The poet says that nature has given all the bounties to all people, also just like he has given to us. Everyone gets sunlight, air, and water in equal measure, which means that God doesn't differentiate between people from different countries. We all do farming during the time of peace, when there is no war. We live a relaxed life and eat the things given to us by nature. Further, he adds that the way we starve during wars and winter time is the same for those belonging to other countries too. Even they don't get food at that time. So he wants to say that foreigners who belong to another country and we both are same. And stanza 3 is, remember, they have eyes like us that wake, or sleep and strength that can be won. By love in every land is common life, that all can recognize and understand. The poet asks the reader to remember something. He says that we should keep in mind that people of another country, whom we think to be our enemies, have been bestowed by God with similar appearance like us. God has given them eyes like ours, which open when awake and close when we are asleep. Similarly, He has given them strength, which we can win through love. Then he says that in every country, in every land, there is one common thing, that is life. Life means all the things that are living, and we can recognize them, and if we live, we can understand. If we can understand their feelings and realize that they are like us, then there will be no fights or wars between us. Next is, let us remember whenever we are told to hate our brothers, it is ourselves that we shall dispose, betray, condemn. Remember, we who take arms against each other. Dispose over here is bache deprive. The poet says that we should remember that whenever someone tells us to hate a person from another country, to think him as our enemy, and whenever we think someone to be our enemy, then we deprive ourselves, we cheat ourselves, we condemn ourselves. He says that we should stay away from such negativity. We shouldn't consider anyone to be our enemy. During a war, both the parties must bear the loss. And that is why the poet says that war is not in our favor. He says that whenever we pick any weapon against someone, we should remember one thing. What is that? Next stanza we will do it. It is the human heart that we defile, or hells of fire and dust outrage the innocence of fear that is everywhere, our own. Remember, no men are foreign and no country strange. Defile over here it means make dirty, pollute, outrage the innocence of is violate the purity of. The poet tells us that we should keep in mind that whenever we pick weapons against any person, we make the earth dirty. Because weapons kill people and their bodies, which fall on the earth, make it dirty. Whenever war happens, it leads to a lot of bloodshed, fire and death. These dead bodies accumulate on the earth and it make it impure. The fire of war which erupts, the smoke which comes out, the dust which fills the air, it is so dirty that it pollutes and outrages the purity of the air. With all these things, the poet wants to give us message that we should not indulge in war. Finally, he ends the poem by writing the first line in reverse and saying that, remember, no men are foreign and no countries strange. I hope you have understood the explanation. You will made it. And now we will discuss about the literary devices. So first of all, I'll discuss about alliteration. Alliteration, as we all know, is the repetition of a consonant sound in two or more closely placed words is called alliteration. The instances of alliteration in this particular poem are stanza 1, body breathes, B sound is repeated, and in then second stanza, words winter, W sound is repeated. Next comes metaphor. Metaphor is implied comparison. Okay, so we can find metaphor in stanza 1, uniform. In that, uniform refers to the military of different countries, and in stanza 2, war's time is compared to the winter season. So we can find metaphor in stanza 1 and stanza 2. And then comes repetition. Repetition is when the things are or words are repeated again to make the poem more impressive. It is used in the entire poem. In this poem, repetition has been used in the entire poem. So we can find that remember word is repeated 5 times in the poem. And remember, no men are strange, no country is foreign is repeated in stanza 1 and stanza 5. Then comes enjambment. Enjambment is running lines of poetry from one line to the next without using any kind of punctuation to indicate a stop. Instances of enjambment in the poem are as follows: stanza 1, line 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then in stanza 2, 3rd line, and stanza 3, line 1, 2, and 3, and then we can find it in stanza 4 where line 1 and 2 is example of this, and in then stanza 5, line 2 and 3. All right. So students, what message do we get from this poem? That this is a peace poem and gives us a strong message to stop all wars and look upon humanity as a unified entity. The poet warns the rulers of all the countries that when they wage wars, they not only injure the interest of those whom they hate, but also injure themselves. They should know that peace brings prosperity and wars bring destruction. Hence, those who spread hatred and cause wars against their brothers and sisters in different parts of the world actually harm the cause of peaceful mutual coexistence. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. Thank you.